Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So, Leah said, make a minivan, Elon. To which Elon said, something way cooler than a minivan is coming. Important point, Leah shared another post from Elon where he was saying that the back of the Cybertruck can fit 3 child seats or 3 adults. So, to everybody saying that Elon is just talking about the upcoming Roadster here with this comment, I really do not think that is the case. I do not think people concerned with fitting more adults or more child seats in a vehicle would think that the Roadster is cool for their solution. And we do have to keep in mind Elon could just be referring to the Robovan or the Robovan, although that is still likely a few years away. That could be what he's talking about. But naturally, thanks to what Joe Tetmeyer recently spotted at Giga Texas, what appeared to be a Model YL that was shipped on site, that could be something different than the Model YL because the slope in the back from this angle looks a bit higher than the Model YL. And we still have plenty of people that would love to see a more cyber style SUV, a proper 3-row SUV from Tesla. But rather than speculate, let's just look at the facts and what Tesla has said. This is the Q4 2024 slide deck where Tesla laid out the Cybertruck advancements. Every single new technology feature except for 2 at the time Tesla was planning to use in future vehicles. So I think we need to revisit what those 2 omissions were. The first, the stainless steel exoskeleton, which they described as cold-rolled, full hard stainless steel exoskeleton that carries crash loads and increases torsional stiffness of the body. More importantly for this purpose, iconic visual design, meaning it's something that we see, it's high dent and corrosion resistance, and it reduces concerns over daily wear and tear. Meaning the stainless steel exoskeleton does include the stainless steel panels that we see as the user. And the second part, the air bending manufacturing process, described as a first of its kind automated tooling developed by Tesla that can bend full hard stainless steel without touching it, which enables the use of full hard stainless steel as an A surface without getting scratched by tooling. And the A surface is just the exterior part of the Cybertruck, again, that we see the stainless steel panels, and the B surface would be on the inside. So Tesla is on the record saying that the stainless steel exoskeleton and the air bending manufacturing process would not be used in future vehicles. Meaning, if you are expecting a stainless steel type of cyber SUV, I think you'll be set up for disappointment. But that does not mean we won't get a new cyber SUV because we have the cyber cab, which obviously is not stainless steel. So Tesla can still play into that cyber design and the cyber lineup without using those stainless steel techniques. And of course, it would make logical sense for Tesla to maximize those Cybertruck lines that are running well below capacity. And even if Tesla sticks to what it said, not going that stainless steel route again, it could absolutely still use those lines. Again, what has Tesla actually said? This from the Q4 call last year. Lars said the Cybertruck continues to be a leader and is selling more than any other EV truck out there, while our competition continues to pull back. But to the question itself, from a line standpoint, we always design our lines to be super flexible. We built 3 and Y on the same line. We built S and X on the same line, still showing that we can do that. The Cybertruck line was designed in the same way and is one of our most fully ready for autonomy platforms. Right after that, Elon said we will transition the Cybertruck line to just a fully autonomous line. And there's obviously a market for cargo delivery. There's a lot of cargo that needs to move locally within a city, and an autonomous Cybertruck could be very useful for that. So Lars was very clearly hinting that the Cybertruck line is designed to be flexible to make more than one vehicle on that line, meaning the Cybertruck and a separate design. So I do not think a cyber SUV is totally out of the question. So if this vehicle comes to fruition, I do not think it would have a stainless steel exoskeleton or use that air bending manufacturing process, but the GigaCast, the 48 volt electrical architecture, the 800 volt battery, the ether loop, the power share, the laminated glass, the adaptive air suspension, steer-by-wire, rear-wheel steering, and so on, could in theory all be implemented on the same line as the Cybertruck in a different cyber SUV form factor. And you may recall this design that was spotted in the back of an official Tesla video at the design center. However, it's important to note that not every design Tesla comes up with makes it into production. But clearly, at one point in time, Tesla was considering a cyber SUV going the stainless steel route. And for what it's worth, that video was shared by Tesla in September of last year, but of course, this mold could have been from years ago. For me, I feel like a best case scenario would be Tesla coming up with something like this. This is an AI generated image, but it would be a cyber style SUV that does not use stainless steel. But it stays very much in line with Tesla's new design cyber aesthetic with the one light bar across the front, and you can have angles and colors that also fall in line. So what was Elon talking about here? I do not think it was the Roadster. I do not think it was the Model Y L because it's too close to the Model Y and a lot of people already know that exists, which really only leaves two options: the Robovan or a cyber style SUV. Just for me personally, so as to not end up disappointed, I think I'm going to assume that he's talking about the Robovan. But I could easily make a very strong case for why a cyber SUV using the existing Cybertruck line would make a lot of sense. And I enjoyed this from Joa. They said the sexy lineup may be dead with the S and X going away, but if there was a new model that got the name the Model B, then Tesla's lineup could be called Cyber. Cybertruck, Model Y, Model B, Model 3, and Roadster. And yes, they left out the Semi, but just add it on the end and make it Cybers. The Elon versus activist McCormick saga continues today, as Elon's lawyers are urging Kathaleen to step aside from lawsuits involving Elon and his companies. In this new filing, Elon's lawyers cited a LinkedIn post that was celebrating an Elon defeat in a separate case in California, but they were highlighting how Judge McCormick liked or supported that, aka proving her bias against Elon. But come on guys, let's get real. We don't need this LinkedIn post to confirm what we already know to be true. But it gets better. McCormick responded. She said that she does not support the post, and while she may have hit the support button accidentally, she does not think that she did. She said that she reported suspicious activity to LinkedIn and was locked out of her account when she tried to log in and check the status of that report. She said she prepared the letter prior to receiving the request that she recuse herself, which she said she will review. And yes, there is a rule in Delaware's Judicial Code of Conduct that requires judges to refrain from showing bias or prejudice. And this all matters because McCormick is still assigned to some investor suits against Elon. One is claiming he sold more than $7 billion of Tesla stock after getting insider information. Another accusing him of diverting resources from the car company in his move to buy Twitter. And a third alleging he improperly steered AI talent and hardware from Tesla to XAI. Just so you know, the LinkedIn post that McCormick allegedly supported, that was celebrating the outcome this past Friday where jurors in San Francisco delivered a verdict in favor of a group of investors who sued Elon, saying they missed out because of Elon's misleading statements in April 2022 during his takeover of Twitter. However, the jurors did stop short of concluding that Elon engaged in a fraudulent scheme at the expense of shareholders. And right now, that jury award from this California case, although it was just a civil case, is landing in the neighborhood of between $2 and $2.5 billion. The jury unanimously agreed that Elon engaged in what was defined as securities fraud by tweeting two different posts that reportedly misled these Twitter investors and ultimately caused them to sell their shares when the price was artificially low. But the expectation is that Elon and his team will vehemently appeal that result. So now the ball is in McCormick's court. She will decide if she wants to recuse herself or not. I'm not overly confident she will because that would imply that she does have some sort of bias against Elon. But the good news is even if McCormick chooses to not recuse herself, then Elon and his lawyers still have other avenues they could pursue. They could of course challenge her decision and basically ask the Supreme Court to have her removed. So to be clear, this recusal motion would only have her removed from a few cases that are part of this big bigger umbrella, meaning that they're consolidated or coordinated, aka related. But even if McCormick recuses herself, then she would still be eligible to be on future Elon and Tesla suits. Tesla put out a new 2-minute video about Optimus interviewing some of the engineers, and they said it's getting very close to the human functionality and form factor, and they said it won't even look like a robot, it'll look like a human in a superhero suit. And they did share a brief clip of these new hands. We don't know when this footage was recorded, but zooming in and slowing it down, have a look for yourself. It looks pretty encouraging. And despite all of the attention Figure is getting right now, I still remain confident that Tesla will be first to any type of scale with Optimus. And I cannot vouch for any of Chris Camillo's sources, but I did want to note he did say this week.
Optimus, the things that I'm hearing out of the Optimus team, I'll just say are not great right now. Everyone's kind of waiting to see if they can pull off this V3. I don't know when we're going to even see that. I don't think they're actually close to having a viable V3 to really show the world.
Now look, I certainly don't agree with everything that Chris says, but he should have some solid connections in the robotic space, even if it's not technically inside information. But we'll find out in the months ahead if he's correct. If the summer comes and goes and we don't yet have an Optimus V3 demo, then he was likely right. And on this point, I keep going back to Elon asking if that Figure demo was autonomous or teleoperated, which I thought was a valid data point, possibly showing that he might have been surprised with the progress Figure is making. And speaking of Figure, we got this video of its O3 robot at the White House for an event that the First Lady has been hosting. This event, Fostering the Future Together Global Coalition Summit, is basically just about AI and education. So ultimately, they're looking to empower children around the world through education and technology in the digital age. And part of this initiative was how humanoids could be personalized educators that never get impatient and can adapt to each different child's demeanor and knowledge level, etc. The way I see it, this is not any type of snub against Tesla. Remember, Figure is an American company, and they've really just been a lot more public about what they have going on and demonstrations and partnerships with other companies, much more so than Tesla has been with Optimus. And whether Tesla's been quiet because things with V3 aren't progressing as fast as Elon had hoped, or they just want to play their cards close to the chest, we don't know. But Figure has a solution ready to go, and so honestly, good for them.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education.
And Mark Benioff just shared this video of Figure 03 sorting packages.
Okay, Figure Robotics. Pretty cool sorting algorithm. Its job is to turn these packages upside down. And I guess we can just take one. Let's see, we're going to take one of these packages. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Oh, figured it out. Pretty cool. Wait, oh yeah. Sorry about that again. And also this one. Its job is to flip them upside down. Yep. Yeah, it's really impressive, the Figure 03. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, God. Oh. No. Oh, what is it going to do? Let's see. Oh, got it. Nope. Yep, there it goes. Impressive. Impressive. It's impressive. Wow. Boom.
So pretty impressive, responding in a dynamic environment, and Brett just said that humans do this around 3 seconds per package on average, and fast humans can do it at about 1.9 seconds per package, but it's not sustained over many hours. But we're now seeing under 3 seconds per package on the robot in our internal testing. And Elon did say Optimus 3 is in the same league as Raptor 3. And let's not forget just a few years ago where Optimus started and how far it's come from an elegance and simplicity in design standpoint. But you know what they say about prototypes, and we're still waiting to see Tesla's prototype when it comes to V3. On the Tesla careers page, if you search for AI safety operator, you will now see 17 different listings. But rather than read through all of them, you can see them all here on this map, 17 different cities across 11 different states. And look, these safety operator roles do not mean that a launch is imminent in these cities, so the timelines to an actual launch in these cities are uncertain, but I do think this very clearly shows Tesla's intent of where they plan to scale next. And Joe Tetmeyer shared this image from his drone flyover at Giga Austin, and it's a pretty good comparison of the Cybercab right next to a Model Y from overhead. We just got new results from the North American Council for Freight Efficiency and their 18-day run-on-less messy middle testing, which they're touting as the most detailed real-world powertrain study yet released. They put out a 277-page operations report analyzing 14 Class 8 tractors across diesel, compressed natural gas, battery electric, and hydrogen. The study covered data from 73,000 miles of actual freight hauling and challenges long-held assumptions about which tech is truly ready for the road. The results? The Tesla Semi and Windrose trucks clearly outperformed Freightliner and Volvo BEV trucks on charging speed and range. One Seya Tesla Semi covered 460 miles in a day shift on a single charge, then continued deliveries on a second shift with another driver. And that was at 750 kilowatts, and they're launching the Semi at 1.2 megawatts. They're getting the Tesla Semi, which is just a prediction of where battery electric is going, and it can completely charge for 400 or 500 miles in 20 to 30 minutes now. A lot of people don't think that's real. We're here to show it and tell it is real. And what do you know? On hydrogen, they said it faces demonstration scale limitations. The promise of hydrogen, I would say, eludes us a good deal. They did say terrain sensitivity mattered. Battery electric vehicles lost more efficiency on climbs than diesels, though they still beat diesel on flat ground. However, what they didn't say that we know to be true is that the Tesla Semi will be much more efficient going down the hills thanks to regenerative braking. And just so you know, 2 of the diesel trucks in this study actually far exceeded expectations, hitting about 11.5 miles per gallon, which was much better than the national average, which sits around 7. But this organization is unequivocal about the long-term winner. We believe strongly battery electric trucks are our future. It's so simple, it's efficient, it's batteries, electronics, electric motors. My 40-year career, the after-treatment costs more than the engine. And it's nearly as big as the engine was 40 years ago. These diesel trucks are unbelievable, but they come with huge complexity and huge cost, and that's only going to get worse. And the leader of the NACFE said, quote, "Tesla and Windrose knocked it out of the park." And the electric trucks that were tested, the Semi, the Windrose R700, the Freightliner e-Cascadia, and the Volvo VNR Electric. We know Tesla's true V4 supercharging site rollout is underway. However, David Moss just shared his experience at one of these true V4 sites in Kissimmee, Florida. Disappointment number 1, 5 of the 8 stalls available were already out of order. And number 2, at this new site, the garbage was already overflowing and all over the ground. In what has been dubbed the most surprising news of the year by some analysts, Honda and Sony are killing their 2 Afeela electric cars. So while Afeela is dead, the companies intend to announce their mid to long-term positioning as well as contributions to the future of mobility at the earliest possible opportunity. We got new sales data from the ACEA for February, and this covers the EU, EFTA, and the UK, and we'll just focus on the year-to-date figures through February. So this year, compared to last year, Tesla is up 0.9%. But if you see some more positive reports out there saying that Tesla's up close to 12%, that was just talking about the month of February. I think it's worth pointing out that year-to-date, BYD is now up 162%. For the first 2 months, their total, 36,069, whereas Tesla in the first 2 months came in at 25,753. But as I always say, we have to consider the comps, and don't forget, Q1 of last year, Tesla was in the midst of the changeover to the new Model Y, meaning this 12% jump for the month of February is not as impressive as some will make it out to be. So far from Giga Shanghai, the Model 3 Standard has been in production since January, but it's been only for export so far. But as of today, the word is that Giga Shanghai will begin offering the Model 3 Standard domestically sometime soon. According to data from Car Gurus, over the past 30 days or so, the average price of a used Tesla has seen a pretty significant uptrend. Throughout January and February, the average price of a used Tesla was around $26,500. But fast forward to today, and the average price is much closer to $30,000. Said another way, prices are up on average over 9% in the last 30 days. You're likely to see a fair number of people talking about this new turbo quant that Google just put out recently. And some memory stocks like Micron and SanDisk saw a dip, likely because of that news. However, this actually was not new. The paper about this technology was put out April of last year. To date, memory and context windows for these LLMs have been one of the limiting factors, meaning once you have a very long back and forth conversation with your LLM of choice, the performance and the memory can begin to degrade. The models become more likely to forget things and or hallucinate. But in short, this turboquant is a software technique that can compress all of this memory by 6x, which should increase the performance of these models by 8x. And the key, with zero quality loss, which means if you want to run some of these models locally on something like a Mac Mini, this would help you do that. So you can run bigger and higher performing models locally with less hardware, which means the hardware you have becomes more capable from a software improvement alone. And that's why I'm sharing this, because we talk about hardware improvements often, but don't forget about improvements on the software side. And it's things like this, not specifically this turboquant, but clearly there is progress to be made for fitting certain neural networks and models on smaller or less capable hardware, something like a hardware 3. Today we learned that Trump is set to appoint Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and Jensen Huang to a new tech council. The council could include up to 24 people, and it'll be co-chaired by David Sachs. It will be focused on AI policy. The official name for this is PCAST, President's Council of Advisors on Science and Tech. This group will be tasked with shaping science, tech, and innovation policy for the president and the White House. And together, they will make policy recommendations. Sachs said other initial members include Mark Andreessen, Sergey Brin, Safra Katz, Michael Dell, Jacob DeWitt, Fred Ursom, David Friedberg, John Martinez, Bob Mumgard, and Lisa Su. So for now, Elon is not included, and I'm sure many of you are relieved because you don't want Elon spending any of his time on efforts like this. Personally, I would have liked to see Elon involved because I don't think this would require a major time commitment from Elon. And personally, the one person I would trust to actually shape these AI policies and regulations would be Elon. And it's true, he does have some friends and close acquaintances as part of this committee, so he can have their ear and express his opinions and feedback. And I really wouldn't argue with people saying that it would be better for Elon to keep his distance from the Trump administration. All I'm arguing for at the end of the day is that Elon has an opinion and people are listening to his feedback on these crucially important topics for our future. But it looks like a pretty solid group of pro-AI people, so far so good. Chris said, I stumbled upon what appears to be the Dallas Robotaxi hive, a sea of new Model Ys with rear camera washers and the same range of Texas plates that he's seen driving on the roads and simulating pickup and drop-off. So there's some more evidence of what we've already known to be true. Someone else shared a new video with Sawyer of 2 cybercabs spotted on the highway near Tulsa, Oklahoma. And The Information put out a report this week saying that the filing for the SpaceX IPO might happen as soon as this week. This step would likely just be a prospectus, and it's primarily for the SEC to begin review. So for our purposes, this step would likely be confidential, but for now there's been no confirmation of an exact date, and these plans can definitely change. As far as we know, the actual date for an IPO would be sometime around June. The latest talks about valuation are in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $1.75 trillion, and now the word is that SpaceX is looking to raise closer to $75 billion, up from 50 before, which would be nearly twice the previous record IPO, which was Saudi Aramco a few years back at a $29 billion raise. So right now, the drumbeat is pretty optimistic about an actual IPO date sometime in June. And the big question for many of us here, how many Tesla Tesla shareholders will sell some of their Tesla stock to participate in this IPO. Just pure speculation on my part, I do think the much higher likelihood that SpaceX will acquire Tesla in the future thanks to this Terafab collaboration could mean that maybe less Tesla investors plan to sell to buy SpaceX stock to avoid any tax implications, as they can just wait and then have all of their Tesla shares ultimately bought out by SpaceX. However, let me be absolutely clear, there is no guarantee that this SpaceX and Tesla acquisition happens. Even if both boards decide they want it to happen, there would still be a vote and approval would be needed. And of course, I think the most obvious downside is if you wait and the SpaceX valuation goes up meaningfully relative to Tesla's valuation, that would not be beneficial for Tesla shareholders relative to getting into the SpaceX IPO earlier. And we still have to wait and see if SpaceX will offer any special treatment for Tesla investors, as I'm sure that would change the equation. And tonight, Tesla Charging just announced new folding unit superchargers that they're calling FU superchargers. They'll use V4 cabinets with a 500 kilowatt charging speeds. There will be 8 posts per unit, 2 units per truck, and 2 different configurations, one folded and one unfolded. They said it's faster, cheaper, and better. Then Max from Tesla said these FU chargers save 20% plus on cost, improve the build quality, and deploy 2 times faster. The majority of cost savings are in civil, electrical, and logistics cost. It's why we're spending so much time improving our pre-assembled supercharger units. With FU superchargers, on-site work is further reduced, including no more DC busbar connection and no Tesla service technician needed for commissioning. We can now ship 16 supercharger posts per truck. Previously, it was only 12, making the logistics cost of shipping pre-assembled superchargers now cheaper than traditional construction. And this is just Rev 1. We'll have Rev 3 by next quarter. Every little improvement matters for the scale needed for 100% EV adoption. So in short, it's a better version of Tesla's pre-assembled superchargers, making the plug and play even easier. So this is a pretty clever hack once you understand what they're doing here. It's still going to be the same 8 stalls for each one cabinet, but Tesla's effectively folding the platform almost like you would a book on either side of the cabinets. So then you can install it like that on site, meaning you have the stalls back to back, or you can unfold it on site and have the traditional install. And doing it that way now means Tesla can fit 16 stalls per truck instead of 12. And this is why I say relentless innovation, because Tesla already leads the supercharging market by far, but they do not stop making it better. Tesla stock closed the day at $385.95, up 0.76%, while the NDX was up 0.67%, and the volume was 7% below the average. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.